What's going on, everyone? I'm Phantom, and welcome to my guide to the Fae in Predecessor. I will outline every ability, show you common combos, and explain Fae's playstyle and role in team fights. If you want to jump to any particular part of the video, check the description for timestamps. If you want to see more guides in the future, be sure to subscribe, and without further ado, I hope this helps. The Fae is a mid-lane mage who focuses on crowd control to cultivate success in every team fight. A great Fae will capitalize on every little mistake her enemies makes. She is incredibly underrated for both teamfights and 1v1s, as she has the strength to handle both. Her AoE abilities make it really tough for any melee heroes to get near her, and her ramping damage makes her fantastic in sustained fights. The Fae's passive ability is Nature's Vengeance. Each time you get a kill or assist against an enemy hero, the Fae spawns an Untamed Growth, her right mouse button ability, from the enemy hero's corpse, and she gains 15% increased movement speed for 5 seconds. This not only gives you a good boost of damage in teamfights with the free Untamed Growth, but the movement speed will help you stay out of range of any enemy heroes who might have their sights set on you. This passive has no cooldown. Unfortunately, there is no good way to show this passive in-game without hopping into an actual match, but this is what her right mouse button, or Untamed Growth, will look like when it spawns from an enemy's corpse. The Fae's basic attack is a ranged physical damage attack, and it is called Floret. The Fae's right mouse button is the previously mentioned Untamed Growth. Hurl a small plant into the ground that sprouts into an area that deals magical damage over time to all enemies within range. After 2.5 seconds, the plant explodes for a burst of damage to any enemies still within the area of effect. 50% of the ability's damage is done over time, and 50% of the ability's damage is dealt in the final explosion. This ability has fantastic AoE damage, which makes it great for damaging multiple enemy heroes in teamfights, or for clearing minion waves efficiently. This ability can also work as a deterrent if your enemies are smart enough to avoid it, which allows you to use this ability as a form of crowd control. This is typically the first ability I unlock on the Fae, as it is incredibly useful for wave management in the laning phase. The Fae's Q is Bramble Patch. Summon a patch of thorny brambles that deal magical damage and slow all enemies that touch them. These brambles last for 5 seconds before wilting away. Any enemies that touch them at any point in the duration take the damage and the slow. The damage and slow can be reapplied if an enemy walks back into the bramble patch, even if they have already trekked through it before. This is a great, albeit short, form of CC, and oftentimes enemies will just avoid touching these brambles if possible, meaning this can be used to corral your enemies in teamfights. The Fae's E is Harvest Nettles. The Fae throws an orb of energy that deals magical damage to the first target hit. Hitting the same target within 6 seconds deals 18% increased damage, stacking up to 3 times. Harvest Nettles also refunds 75% of its mana cost upon hitting an enemy hero, or killing an enemy unit. This ability has an incredibly short cooldown and should be your primary poking ability. This provides the Fae with some great single target damage so long as you can hit her skill shots. The ramping damage that this ability deals can hit incredibly hard in the mid to late game, so be sure to keep your distance and focus down one target. The Fae's ultimate ability is Fly Trap. Plant a giant fly trap that attaches itself to all nearby enemy heroes. After a delay, it pulls all of its victims inwards, dealing magical damage and stunning its targets for 1.4 seconds. This is a fantastic form of crowd control for the Fae, and it can hit really hard if you can catch multiple enemy heroes in your trap during a teamfight. The CC is also super useful for your allies, as it gathers all of your enemies in one easy-to-hit location, so your team has free reign to hit whatever skill shots they choose. The Fae's abilities work well in nearly any order, but I have a few combos to suggest. I recommend firing your Bramble Patch immediately after your Untamed Growth to slow your enemy and keep them in the damaging AoE of your Untamed Growth as long as possible. It is also important to put your Bramble Patch in your enemy's escape path from the Untamed Growth, that way they have to commit to taking significant damage to get away. Another combo I suggest is after landing a Harvest Nettle once or twice on an enemy, throw your Bramble Patch at your enemy to slow them down, making it easier for you to land more Harvest Nettles, thus ramping the damage with lower risk of missing. The Fae's big endgame combo is Fly Trap, Untamed Growth, and Bramble Patch, followed by a flurry of Harvest Nettles at your preferred target. The Fly Trap and Bramble Patch will CC your enemies inside the area of your Untamed Growth, making it incredibly hard for your enemies to escape the burst of damage at the end of the effect. The delay on Fly Trap gives you just enough time to throw your Untamed Growth right in the middle of your Fly Trap, so take advantage of that when you can. Item build on the Fae will focus mainly on mana and magical power with a little bit of ability haste. I recommend getting Azure Core first so you can start ramping up your maximum mana early on. Megacosm can be a fantastic item on the Fae, as the constant strikes of her Harvest Nettles will proc the percent health damage incredibly often, essentially dealing an extra 2.5% of the opponent's maximum health as damage for each consecutive hit. Megacosm also procs on multiple ticks of your Untamed Growth, as you can see in the background. You notice those bursts of 68 damage are from the Megacosm additional damage, not from the actual base ability's damage. Astral Catalyst is also a great item on the Fae, as the ultimate is very useful and the additional magical power for casting multiple abilities is very impactful. Wraith Leggings is great if you are facing tanks or need additional movement speed. There are many good items for the Fae, so just test things out and see what fits your playstyle. A large majority of the Fae's impact will come from mid to late game teamfights. Her CC is fantastic and incredibly helpful to her team, so try to focus on that. It is important to focus down individual targets with your Harvest Nettles, so try to pick a squishy character and shred them down with your ramping damage. In the early game, play safe and just try to stay alive. You don't have as much early kill pressure as many other mid laners, so you will have to pick your fights carefully. Once you get through the laning phase, you will start to have a ton of impact, so it's just a matter of lasting that long. And that's going to do it for the Fae guide today. If you liked it, hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, consider subscribing. It helps out a lot. If you want to see any particular guides, let me know down in the comment section. Without further ado, have a lovely rest of your day, evening, morning, afternoon, and night. Bye-bye.